How many times have I taken a trade on emotions and instantly regretted it? I recently got this message. I got emotional again, jumped into a trade and lost everything in a day. I don't even know where I went wrong. I just can't wait. Sounds familiar? That's what happens when you're trading on feelings instead of a system. I've been there too, until I started using a tool that helps me manage emotions and stay focused. Today, I'll show you exactly how to use it with real examples from the market. Today, you and I are going to analyze situations on the platform, and for successful analysis, first of all, we need to set up the workspace. To do this, I set the time frame to 5 seconds and add the MACD and RSI indicators. I leave the default settings for indicators. Then go to the right side of the screen, set the expiry time to 15 seconds. Let's get to the analysis. First of all, we all see a strong upward movement, which is accompanied by an upward movement in both instruments. But there is a transitional moment which can be seen in these instruments, in connection with which I open a position down and we caught it successfully. We see upward movement of both instruments and on the chart, but there is a reversal at this point. The green line crossed the red line from the top to bottom and fell below zero. The second instrument from the overbought zone started to come into balance, and when it is in the overbought zone, the chart needs correction. In this regard, I opened a position on the corrective downward movement and successfully fixed it. When I was just starting out, I'll be honest, everything felt chaotic. I would chase moves, react emotionally, make impulsive decisions, but once I implemented this system, everything changed. I started seeing where to enter and, more importantly, why. Now I rely on it every single day. Without it, I would be right back in the chaos. This too became my foundation, and now it's helping others too. Moving on, in idiom, an upward movement that ends relying on the indicators. Because of this, I open a position down in the hope that there will be a downward correction and the expiration time. Can you tell what combinations of tools you use to analyze situations on the platform? I'll be interested to read, and maybe I'll use some combination in my videos. Great! The situation worked in our favor. Here we have seen an upward movement on both instruments, and at this point the histogram started to turn red, which means that a small correction is possible. Also, the second instrument has also started to go down as well. Consequently, I opened the position down and successfully closed the position. Recently, one of my members found himself in a situation just like the one we covered. I invited him to join our trading session, and here's the result he got. That's the power of structure. What once felt overwhelming becomes a step-by-step roadmap. Even beginners start to feel more confident. And yes, when we run these live sessions every day. I move on. I see an upward movement that is accompanied by the beginning of a downward movement in both indicators. The instrument was in the overbought zone and needed correction. In this regard, I open a position down and wait for the time of expiration. Great position. We can notice the following. There was an upward movement, but in this area, the chart was in the overbought zone. This indicates a correction, and this was also confirmed by the first indicator, in which the histogram crossed the zero mark and the corrective movement downward began. Two tools pointed this out to us, and due to this, I opened a position down and a perfect result. You know, most beginners think they need to wait for the perfect moment or try to predict the whole market. But the truth is, it's not about guessing. It's about spotting patterns and reacting to them systematically. Here's my advice. Don't try to do it all. Focus on one tool and master it until it becomes second nature. That's how I built my system. One step at a time without noise. This approach lowers the emotional pressure and helps you make decisions with confidence. I'm not here to promise miracles, just showing you what works for me. Try it for yourself. Moving on, we see a strong downward movement. Because of this, I open a position down on the continuation and move and wait for the expiry time. The trade is simple and interesting because in this situation, there is a strong downward movement without any buyers showing up. The line is moving in a narrow channel, which is directed downward, and the tools point to the same thing. It is important to note that the second instrument is not in the oversold condition. It does not need an upward correction. And due to this, a position was opened on the global trend and successfully fixed. I'm moving on. In this situation, we see a sideways movement in which I will open a position down, and let's wait for the result. Awesome. This position has proven to be successful. We have first two pointing to the down position and the second two pointing to the down position along with the chart. The three arguments we had coincided and we successfully closed the deal in our favor. Good job, folks. The right tool makes decisions easier and takes the emotional stress out of trading. But for me, it's just as important that this knowledge doesn't stay locked away in private circles. That's why I built this community, not for pros, but for everyday people who want to grow and learn consciously. It's full of traders who've stopped panicking and started following a system that works for them. If you've got questions, message me.